All right. So Öykü had a question. She wanted to load an image, and then she wanted to convert this image into pixels, like a pixelated version of it, right? So how do we do it? First things first, you have to sign in. And then after you sign in, here we have an upload file option. So you can drop the file you want to download, like, or use in your sketch. I renamed this picture as girl.jpg. So it becomes available to me here. So I define it under this variable called img image. img equals load image girl.jpg. Then I create a canvas with its width and height. And then I just display it under setup. Okay, so I'm not doing anything on top of it in draw, but technically speaking, I can just probably do a rectangle here. So fill, let's do it like a red fill, and then 50, 50, 50, 50. Is this, how does rect work? We have to have a rect mode probably. So draw a rectangle at location with a width and height. Okay, so this should work, right? So I'm first drawing the image as my background, then drawing a rectangle on top of it, right? But what I want to do is I want to actually divide the canvas into pixels that I control, right? The image resolution is 800 by 900. Okay, we can also do it. I think this was 800. So if I do like this, width is 800. I can only display. Let's look at the height of it too. Height is 947. This is not like a multiply of 5, but let's say we want to do pixels 10 by 10. Huh? Okay. So what I want to do is first get, and I want to be able to read the RGB values of the image pixel, right? So how do we do that? So pixels. So we can load the pixels of an image, img.load pixels, and then we can traverse it. And then we can basically read the value of the pixel. So I can do image.load pixels, then I can traverse the width and height of the image. So I'm just going to copy this, all right? So we can do this under draw, or I can do it here. We probably don't need to do it under draw because we just want to display a static image. There's no animation here. So img.load pixels loads all the pixels of this image. How many? 800 by 947 pixels are loaded, right? So I'm going to traverse through them, but we don't have to do each pixel. We can actually do I plus equals 10. We can increment, like we can look at every 10 pixel, okay? Then I can do an image set here. So I can get the pixel value or the color, and then I can draw a rectangle instead of that pixel. I can also do it like this. So after I load the image, I can do img.get mouse X, mouse Y. So let's see what that prints. Actually, let's print this. So I want to print the RGB values. So you see, I'm moving my cursor around and I'm reading the pixel values of the image where my mouse cursor is. It's printing an RGB value set, right? So where my mouse is right now, RGB is 115, 91, 67. 255 is the alpha value, so it doesn't have any transparency. It's full. Okay. So technically speaking, I can access any pixel, right? So what I'm going to do is let C equals img.get I, comma j. That will give me the pixel value as color, I think, right? So if I do image get, let's see, get method in P5 image. So this retrieves the X coordinate of the pixel, Y coordinate of the pixel. It returns, what does it return? Where does it say? It returns the rectangle P5 image. Well, I don't. Yeah, so this returns the color, you see? My image.get, it wanted to retrieve the pixel color at 6090, and it did a fill, and then it drew a rectangle at that location. So that's basically what I'm going to do. I can do a fill here, and then I can do another rectangle here at ij. Let's do 5 by 5, okay? We are incrementing 10 by 10, but I'm going to draw a smaller rectangle there, okay? All right, so these are the pixels actually in color. So I'm going to do no stroke, so we don't have a black highlight around it. Now I'm drawing smaller pixels. If I do this 10 by 10, now I got a single pixel. I read a single pixel, and I just drew that as resolution, right? I can also set this as my resolution. So let res equals 10. I can use this value to traverse the image and to draw a rectangle. So if you want, let's say, rectangles to be larger, I just change this to be 20. I can make it 30. But I'm reading only one pixel, right? I'm incrementing the for loop at increments of 30, but I'm just getting one pixel value here and just drawing a rectangle there. Make sense? So let's do 2. This is going to take a while, but this is also grained. Let's do 5 again, 4. Okay.
Hocam peki piksellerin belli alanların renklerini değiştirebilir miyiz her defasında randomlı?
Tabii. Nasıl yapalım? How do you want to randomize the pixel
Mesela
color?
örnek veriyorum siyah, arka plan şu an siyah ya, mesela her defasında o siyahın rengi farklı olsun.
So you want to check, you want to make the background different, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Randomly.
So, all right, perfect. So for instance, let's see what the RGB values here are. Okay, so here I'm going over my cursors so you can see the values are 45, 49, 33. So it's kind of a dark tone, but here the RGB values are a lot higher. So what I'm going to do is what we can do here. We can check for certain RGB value thresholds here using C, right? For instance, I can check if red C, the red coefficients of C is, let's do this first. Let's see, I want to make sure that this works. If red C is less than 50, then I want to do a fill here that is just pure green. Else I want to do a fill C. So this would be RGB. Yeah, so basically, I'm just looking at the red channel, okay? I'm just looking at the red channel of these pixels. And if that red channel value is less than 50, I'm just putting a green color there, okay? So we could also do this multiple times. So I can also do and green C is less than 50. So I'm just going to check now for blackness, basically, right? We can probably also check darkness. Darkness, no, but pixel, low pixels. Let's look at the color function. Lerp color mode. Let's do the color. I want to see if we can check for the darkness of a color. Like how close it is to black, basically, right? This is probably I mean, the way I'm doing it is probably correct. So then we can do blue of C is less than 50. So I created 50 as kind of a threshold for RGB values, right? So that means like if the red, green, blue channels are less than 50, then it's a really dark pixel, right? If it's a really dark pixel, I want it to be pure green. Else, I want it to be its original color. Okay, so it also found some values here. By the way, these probably are not less than 50, right? Some of the red, green, blue values here, either one of those are greater than 50. So this AND actually checks for a conditional. So all of these three statements have to be true in order for us to register a green at that pixel. Is this how you wanted to access it?
Yes, ya istediğim etkiyi vermedi ya. Ben daha farklı bir şey bekliyordum.
What do you want it to do? We can just like write any type of manipulation.
Böyle bir şey görmüştüm. Daha böyle bir etki verebilir mi acaba diye şey yapmış.
Burada iki renk var mı? İki tane renk arasında bir değer atıyorum. RGB değerine göre. Okay. So she wants to define. So first things first, let's look at color mode. What I want to do is use a color mode of RGB up to 100. So we only have to give values from 0 to 100. Okay, I think that would be easier. So I'm going to do it here. So this sets the RGB values to 100. Or you want me to keep it like this? That's also fine. But the reason why I'm going to do this is to normalize the values. And let's define two colors. Let C1 equals, let C1 and C2. And what I want, C1 equals color red. And C2 equals color green. Actually, I'm going to take this off. And what I want to do is look for brightness. Yeah, that was it. So we can look for the brightness value of the color. Okay, that's basically how close it is to white and how close it is to black. Make sense? So then I can get that here. So let B equals brightness C. So that will be, let's actually look at what it prints. So I'm going to print brightness image.get. So this function is going to retrieve me the pixel color, and then I'm going to look for its brightness and I'm going to print it. So as you can see, it's basically a value that is from 0 to 255, I think, right? So here it's like really low, like 10, 15. Here it prints 75. I'm not getting any up to 100 though. Let's see if, for instance, white. Okay, it's a value between 0 and 100, I think, right? Because I'm over a white pixel, it's printing a value close to 100. Make sense? Now, what I can do is use this to map to another coefficient. Basically, I can do something like this. So I don't have to check for this anymore. I can do map. How does map work? It basically takes in a value that is within an interval and maps it onto another interval. So the value start 1, stop 1, start 2, stop 2, basically lower bound of values current range. So I have to write this as value 0, 100 to whatever I want it to be. Okay. And so let's do B is normally between 0 and 100, but I want it to be between 0 and 1. So this will be my coefficient. So let val equals this. So I'm mapping B to be between 0 and 1. I'm normalizing it. I can also divide this value by 100, by the way. It will be exactly the same thing. Then I can use lerp color. Let call equals lerp color val C1, C2, and val. Okay, this has to be between 0 and 1. And then I'm going to just fill with color and get rid of this. So I got this, right? Did you follow what I did?
Yes.
Okay, so I basically defined two colors, right? I want to interpolate the brightness of the image to those two colors. So I'm getting the pixel color here, then I'm looking for its brightness. The brightness value is between 0 and 100. So if the pixel is close to black, then it's close to 0. If it's close to white, then it's close to 100. So I'm using a map function here. Basically, I'm saying B's normal values are between 0 and 100, but map it onto 0 and 1. So what that means is if it's closer to 100, value will become something that is closer to 1, right? So I'm kind of getting a percentage of it. And then I'm doing lerp color. So I'm interpolating between C1 and C2 using val. So if I write 1 there, it will be C2. If I write 0, it will be C1. And any values in between, it will be distributed, it will be interpolated. So now we could do something pretty cool. So I can actually change these to be whatever we want, right? Like we can also get 2 random colors from the canvas if you want. What shall we do? Redefine 2 new colors? We can also do it black and white, by the way. Like that would be exactly how black and white images are made. Oh, this is the reverse, but if I do it like this, it's not black and white, right? Does that make sense? Okay. What else shall we add to this? Anything else you want to try doing?
İstediğim etkiyi vermedi. Niye öyle?
Shall we do it with dots? Shall we do circle? Ellipse? Now these are ellipse. Huh?
Elipse olunca sanki daha o hani arkasını gördüğümüz ortaya.
Now we can also do something like this, for instance. I can also use the brightness value for the radius value. And for instance, I can do let R. We might have to do, let's see, let R equals map. I want to map B again. And I want to map it onto this between 0 and res, right? 0 and res. And then I can use this. Now, if it's basically, if the value, if the brightness is too low, then I'm basically getting a smaller radius of a circle. So we can also basically not use the color, so we can just do fill 0 as well. Right, so now we're getting the brightness value of each pixel. You can also change its resolution. I can also override some of the pixels. I can override colors. We can also turn this into, let's say, random rectangles and kind of like brush strokes.
Bir we can do böyle mouse'la üzerine gittiğimizde hareket eden bir şeye dönüşür.
Yes, so we already did that, right? So we did an example where we actually rotated the grid based on the orientation. So we were getting kind of a heading, I think. Heading. Something like this. So I was getting a vector. Did we use this?
Yeah.
We were doing rotate. But I was using mouse location and
Yes.
rotate, right? So mouse x minus 50, mouse y minus 50. So legend dot heading and degrees. Where's that example? Let's see. Transformations. Yeah. Shall we do this with the
We
But-
can use the same code as well.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, I can use this, no? So we have from to, we got a lerp color, which we don't need anymore, right? All right, that's my background. Now we don't need a background. We let num equals 30. We don't need this as well, probably, because we already have this. So technically speaking, I'm not going to use this part anymore, but I want to use these for loops, right? So I want to use these for loops. We don't need these. So push, translate this times gap plus gap. This would be res. Let's first get a small rectangle there without rotation. So you'll see that would be this, right? So that will be color. This would be res. I'm just trying to make sure that this part of the code works first. Huh?
Fotoğraf aşağıda mı kaldı?
No, I'm not displaying the picture anymore. So rectangle, image.load pixels, C1, C2, translate. What we are doing to translate, okay. We don't need to multiply it with res, I think here. You can just translate to where it is. Yeah, all right, so it's working. Now what I want to do is we can basically make this go faster and make this rectangle longer as well. Okay. And then we can basically use this with the mouse. So J, get its heading. I don't need this. Where do we do the rotation? Don't we do a rotation? And there it is, rotate v dot heading. Okay, I do it here. We could do D. So this could be D, I guess. All right, this would be my width, D divided by 1 times res, D divided by width. It's too much. Let me stop this. It's going to be interactive too, but All right. This has to be W. I'm going to make this a bit large, so 20. Okay. We have to draw a background, probably something. Shall it be black or white? There's an image there, right? I'm also changing the width of the.
We can use the circle for not any dikdörtgen şu anda rotate.
But then we won't see any rotation, right? I was trying to make it more interactive. So we are basically getting the reading of a pixel and drawing a rectangle there. So like this, for instance, yeah, the mouse is kind of, it's actually interesting, pretty interesting. Are okay. Not cool, huh? This is doing exactly the same thing in the other code, right? So this one. Remember this exercise 5? It's doing exactly this. Maybe we can change these two, the places of these two. So I can do res W. Yeah, this is much better, right? At least I'm getting kind of distortion.
Yes, çok güzel olmuş.
Huh?
Güzel olmuş.
So it's I. Yeah, so it's kind of like making brush strokes based on kind of a vector field. But the vector field could be different.
Şu şey oldu. Mesela şöyle bir nasıl oluyor?
Bakalım.
Mesela böyle bir şey var mı? Nasıl oluyor?
Hangi şeyler? Ya şey gibi. Ne yapmış? Mağaza bulan uzaklığına göre oraya bir tane elips ya da başka bir geometri çiziyor.
Aynen, farklı renk için.
Evet, oradaki filtreleri yapıyor mouse. Bu da interaktif etmemize de gerekiyor. Aslında şey de olabilir. Van Gogh'un böyle resimlerindeki gibi akışkan böyle vector field'lar var ya. Öyle bir random vector field de yaratabiliriz. Hı?
Evet.
We were told... Kaydettim. So we are talking about whether we could create a random vector field and use the image as a mapping on top of it, right? So let's do vector. I want to look at here. Maybe we can have like a field condition, random, random Gaussian, noise 2D, graphing 2D equations. Some of these could be, let's see, sine wave. There are a bunch of ways we can actually draw things, right? We could draw can also distort it. I'm trying to keep it simple, the noise wave. More things. Shall we do like a bunch of lines, like almost like a topography of lines, and then we can get a pixel color on each of those lines. So we will see the vector field. Yeah, but we will basically have the color red from the bottom of the, like from the underlying image. That could be interesting for us. So we won't be traversing it with the for loop. We will be drawing lines. I mean, it's similar to this actually. So rather than drawing rectangles, we'd be drawing any type of geometry. Let me actually get a 2D noise 2D. Yeah, something like this, maybe. It could be interesting, but then...
Ama o zaman rotate'de kalacak mı? Ben mouse'da o zaman rotate. Noise nasıl gelecek yani?
Good question. How do we use noise? So I can use it to get some value of calculation. So here you're looking at two noises. So one noise could be for rotation. The other noise could be for the thickness of the rectangle, maybe. So I want to get kind of a random field forming.
Çok uzunmuş bu.
So we could do noise detail. Shall we do this one? Draw the half of the left image. So noise detail 2, 5. So rather than using my mouse, I'm going to use a noise function here. This noise detail and noise. It's a bit laggy. So let's do let n equals noise ij and noise scale. Was it noise scale? Noise detail. Noise detail basically controls how grainy you want the noise function to work. So we could do, for instance, something like this. Noise detail, and then this would become a coefficient basically. And we could do something like this. Rotate. Shall we do rotate n? Oh, it's too thin. Yeah, there are lines, but it's too thin. So maybe the resolution. Oh, where's W? Okay, 1D over. Okay, let's do this blur to be N. Yeah. So And basically, this is kind of a random rotation, but we're not getting kind of a field behavior yet. All right. So we could also do something like this. We don't have to do color. We don't have to lerp the color. We could just use the color of it. Huh? So we could just use C. Yeah. So let me actually do a no stroke here. No stroke. And then I want to make this a bit more interesting. So times 4 times 2. Yeah. Huh? So it's working with noise, but let's actually reduce this. So noise detail 2. Okay, I'm not sure if this rotation is working at the moment. Pi divided by 4. Yeah, I'm not reading this the way I want it to. So if I do this n, yeah, I wanted to get it kind of like a field behavior. So something like this. How can we do noise scale 0.02? Does rotate take in degrees? So angle mode degrees. Yeah, let's do angle mode degrees. Angle mode degrees here. And then I want this rotation to work with angles. So n times 20. Well, how do we get this to be smoother? Noise. Noise 2D. Where was noise 2D? Examples. Noise. Yeah, we should also have a noise scale. Okay. I didn't get it to rotate the way I want it to at the moment. It's kind of bugging me a bit. So if you want it to be smooth, then this probably has to be noise detail has 2 values, log and follow, number of octaves to be used for noise and follow factors. So this has to be small, I think. In our case, it's too large. It's 2. But then yeah, the rotation doesn't seem to work. Yeah, doesn't work. Retrieves. Let's see. I think noise retrieves a value that is between 0 and 1, right? It's a Perling value between 0 and 1. So n is between 0 and 1, following noise. Mouse'u çıkardım. So what I want to do is just rotate it. Let me take this out. Let's just do this. So this is just being mapped onto onto this. Times 2 and W. Move to vertical. Okay. So that's the noise mapped onto the canvas. Now when we do rotation, okay, that should actually work. Why doesn't it work? Maybe we don't have enough values. If I make this 5. Okay, this is the noise, right? Distribution of the noise. You guys see, like, this is kind of like grainy, right? That we are adding noise on top of the image. Now if I make this 8, we don't have to do this under draw anymore, by the way. I mean, if you want it to be interactive, then we can, but technically speaking, it's just a single function. So we could do draw image. We can call this function, right? And function draw image. Right? I'm just drawing my canvas just once. So it will work a lot faster now. And why doesn't this work? Rotate n times, I mean, we could do probably lerp or map n comma 0 comma 1, n is noise. We want to rotate between 0 and 90. Okay, I get something like this. It's probably because we don't have a rect mode. Rect mode center. Well, what do you think? It's like we have white stroke. Oh, there we go. Okay. Okay, I had white stroke around the rectangles. Getting closer. Brush strokes. Shall I make it less resolution? Let's do 4. All right. And I want to do, we could do actually 180 maybe. No, this is too much. I feel like I still didn't get the rotation to work. What do you think? Huh? This similar, close to what you wanted to do?
Yes.
Okay. And we could also do call here. So it could, I mean, these colors could be anything we want, right? In white and black. Or vice versa. And follow, huge follow. What if this is 90? Shall we do minus 90? I'm wondering what the heading function does for vector. So this is a value like this. It's probably radians. Create a vector. I guess this is okay. Yeah, it's grainy. Interesting? Not interesting? What do you think?
But I prefer the first one.
The colored version?
And mouse hareket ettirdiğimiz siyah beyaz yapmıştım.
Mouse
Evet,
interactive.
yes.
Yeah, you prefer the interactive version. So I have to use the mouse. All right. We could do that. And then I could do rotate v dot heading. I guess it was like this. Oh wow. Well, because I'm only getting one value now, it's a single vector field, right? This is not interactive. I just drew it once, but it kind of got a single vector for the field. So you can see that here it's, let me actually let me actually do this. Rather than doing mouse X, mouse Y, we can actually specify anywhere we want. Width divided by 2, height divided by 2. Right, so that's basically the center of the vector field. And then I'm using really long rectangles, so I can just reduce them a bit more. But you can see the vector field, right? It's kind of cyclic around the center.
Bu etkiyi de artırabilir miyiz? Yani burada karşısında. Şu anda çok küçük yani.
So you want it to be higher in resolution? Like this?
Biraz daha az olacak.
Okay. Goes to 6. Maybe. I can also change the location of this pixel, so we could do just 50 minus 50, 50 to 50. Right? So this is my center now, and it's kind of rotating like this. Let me actually go back to the original colors. I like the original colors. So you'll see. I think it's better to visualize like this, right? We could also make this 0 actually. So the center is here, the origin, and you can see these lines rotating the vector field. Shall I do it interactive? We could do it interactive. I can pull this out, copy this, underdraw, and make this mouse X and mouse Y. It's slow because it's drawing a lot of rectangles, but you can see the distortion. Maybe this will be the best spot for it to get the bun. No?
Yeah.